I think I have a jam-packed session for 45 minutes. You know, really, today, demo god should save me. I have only 3 slides, and the remaining is all demos. And out of that, the first 10 minutes is what we have in production, and the remaining 35 minutes or so is all what we are building right now. And I know, guys, they deployed some stuff this morning as well. So just a word of caution, but I'm confident it will go well. Okay, just first, the first thing I'm going to do is BizTalk360 version 8.0 and 8.1 update. So before going into detail, like how many of you have seen 8.0 or okay, right. 8.0 is one of the biggest updates for us in BizTalk360. So we spent about 14 months building the product. So a lot of we redesigned everything, and then it's a complete revamp of the user interface. So what I'll do is I'll just spend like 5-10 minutes, not more than that, and go through how the UI looks and how you get a feel for how a BizTalk interface is going to look. 60 version 8.0 interface is. So I wanted to show you like some of the core features. So one is one of the important thing we brought in 8.0 is the dashboard, what you see here. So it's fully customizable. So we have this concept called widgets, and you can go on out of the box. We ship a lot of the widgets like suspended messages and all those. The red ones are actually it's already configured. You can uncheck them, and you can see the dashboard is changing behind the scene. And if you want to bring something else like running instances, service class, etc., it's all there. And we provide a lot of our artifacts, etc. And one of the nice things is you can also build your own widgets as well. So it's very easy to build your own small widget. So it could be something like you want to bring some CRM data into your dashboard when you're supporting your BizTalk, so you can quickly build it as well. And this dashboard is very dynamic, so I can say customize, and I can say like I wanted to resize it to wider, or maybe I can put it back to large and change it to normal, and you can see you can move things around whatever way you want it, and then you can have like a fully customizable dashboard. So this gives you like the things whatever you wanted to put it on the dashboard, you can have it. And one of the other nice thing is you can have multiple dashboards as well. It's not just you want to live with one dashboard. So you might have a scenario where you're connecting a SAP system to a CRM system, and as part of the journey, you wanted to keep track of a bunch of things. So you can actually go and dynamically generate a dashboard called SAP to CRM, and then I can say save it. So this dashboard is empty now, and I can go and say, okay, go put whatever things I think is relevant for this particular dashboard. So I want to put monitoring, and then I want to see so whatever stuff you want, you have it there. So you can have like so multiple dashboards, and we don't have permissions at the moment. The future versions, what we're planning to do is we can also assign permissions. People can only see certain dashboards, so you can give it to specific business users, so they can see only things which are relevant. So the next thing, I won't go into details. So what we have also done with 8.0 is we built a complete BRE rules composer, because one of the problems what you've seen is customers always struggle to bring the business users to write business rules, right? So we worked with one of the big insurance company in the US, and their requirement is they want to bring business users to go and build their own rules, but there are some restrictions. It's not like a developer experience. But they need to pre-build some vocabularies, but after that they can change the rules, deploy the rules, everything right from the web UI. And you also have the full auditing capabilities, and you can assign permissions, which user can actually edit rule or create rule, all those kind of things. So from a business point, it adds a lot of value. Okay, the other stuff I want to show you is what we have also done is we expose the entire BizTalk360 APIs as a Swagger file. Because we understand, people started using more and more. You got a full API access to your environment. So in yesterday's demo, John was showing Logic Apps trying to read all the receive locations from your on-prem stuff. But now with us, you have like a full-blown API layer for your BizTalk environments. So we did it as an API. You can see there is API documentation thing. And there's a bunch of services like all our services, and let's go to the admin service, and we have an important thing called get all configured environments, and I can just try it out straight. So this is actually called the live URL, and you can see the JSON response there. So we have close to 400 APIs on top of BizTalk now. So the full, you can access BAM, you can access any management database like sendboards, applications, everything. So it's all available now. And the other nice thing is we also have a service bus integration. So this comes as part of our managed services. So what you can do is you have APIs and you can hook up service bus. Now you've got a full blow relay connectivity to your on-premise environment. So you can now see what the power you can do on the cloud, with the logic apps and something, but you wanted to get into your on-premise BizTalk, we can do it in 10 minutes now. So. Okay, let me go to, and we also recently published the BizTalk360 in the Azure marketplace. So it's only released about a month ago. So if your people are using BizTalk in the cloud, you can actually go provision your BizTalk360 machine right in the marketplace. If you go and search now, you will see BizTalk360. So this is actually a Microsoft site. It's not our site. So it's available in the marketplace. Okay, there are a lot of things, but I know I'll just move on to what's coming next. So that's also important. So just to give you a flavor of what we are doing in 8.1. So you can see it's a different environments. This is it's a beta environment. So one of the things we are adding is as a natural step, what we are trying to do is move to the cloud, right? So that's the direction everybody is taking. So now BizTalk, integration is not just on-premise. You also need to support scenarios where some of the bits are on the cloud. So as the BizTalk team is doing the right thing, they are bringing the Logic Apps adapter. So people will have you have an orchestration and things going into Logic Apps, and there is something kicking off in the cloud. And from a business point of view, now your monitoring is not just your on-premise stuff. You also need to start monitoring your Logic Apps, because if something goes down on that site, you are going to get into trouble. So what we're doing is, if you go to monitoring and notification, we are adding this manage Azure subscriptions. So basically you hook up the subscriptions. So you can add the subscriptions. Say you have a production environment and you have a couple of subscriptions in Azure which are also running some stuff related to this particular thing. You can go and add subscription. We support both the certificate-based and AD-based, because some of the services are still using the old AD-based authentication, like service bus especially. So we just need to support that as well. So once you can authenticate and you add those subscriptions, and once it's added, then you have the ability to manage them, not manage, you can monitor them within BizTalk360. So I can go back to the main app from settings. Once I have registered a couple of subscriptions there, I can go to monitoring, and if I say manage mapping, you can see this new stuff coming, Azure services, and we have Logic Apps. So now you can actually start monitoring your Logic Apps as well as part of your end-to-end flow, and make sure it's all working. So you can see these are actually Logic Apps that's deployed in the cloud, and you can start make sure they are enabled. And you can also, right now it's just a state-based thing, but over a period you can see we can also check things like what is the last run status, if it didn't run for some time. We can alert, and all those metrics what Microsoft is going to expose, we will enhance it periodically. So this is what we have now, because we have all the framework of registering your subscription and putting Logic Apps. Eventually we will have API apps as well. We are trying to make the user experience as simple as possible. So instead of just working with just a REST endpoints, we wanted to give an experience where it can understand the Swagger, and we can give a better experience how you can start monitoring and configuring your API apps. And we also have in the pipeline web jobs and stream analytics jobs. The things which we see important from a BizTalk perspective, and people start using it on the cloud, all those things will come into BizTalk360. So our aim eventually is to have a one heterogeneous management system, so people can actually use it for operations, monitoring, and analytics. So one of the things I didn't probably cover in 8.0 is we also introduced analytics capabilities. So we don't want people to use BizTalk as a big black box anymore. So there are a lot of data in BizTalk, either in your tracking database, management database, performance counters, everything. So we collect a lot of them, and we give like a self-service kind of a portal experience. People can go, a similar concept, add a widget. I can say I want to add a custom widget, and you can pick up the time frame, and there are a lot of things like where you're picking the data from, BizTalk server, and then like I want to do CPU, the counter is whatever total counter. There are a lot of things you can merge graphs as well. So it just basically it gives you like a full-blown experience of what's actually running inside your in your environment as well. And we also have something interesting called messaging patterns. So what we do is we try to understand all your existing patterns in your environment, and we try to plot the flow, how it's going to look like. So this is all auto-discovered patterns. That's why you have the GUIDs. You can actually change the name and description, etc. But if you open one of them, so you can see this is one of the flows what you have in BizTalk. So it's a simple receive port to orchestration to send port, and then we display it. And it's also very interactive. You can click, and we start overlaying some important information, like what is the message count at that point, what is the latency at that point, all those kind of things. Okay, so back to. We collect a lot of info, like mainly coming from tracking data. So what you're saying, the flow actually is coming from the tracking data.
So tracking is required?
Tracking is required, but depending on the level of tracking you enable, we can go richer. So if you don't enable message body, message context tracking, we will not show the details at each one of the point, but you still can get the flow if only the events tracking is enabled. Okay. And another important thing I wanted to highlight in this new version is web endpoints. Everything is HTTP, right? Now, people talk, integration becomes more like a connecting bunch of HTTP services all over the place. So it's becoming more and more important, how well you can monitor those web endpoints. So we have completely rewritten. We used to have web endpoints monitoring before, which used to be just a status checking thing. But due to the nature of how things are moving, we decided to rewrite the entire thing. So the way it's going to work now is a new web endpoints. Let's say I'm going to monitor Microsoft. Let's put Microsoft.com. It could be any HTTP-based endpoint. And you can see the rich set of things. This is all the settings you can do on the request side. So maybe you need to have some credentials to access that particular endpoint. You may need a proxy setting, or this is the interesting bit, you can actually do a payload as well. So we support multiple, before it used to be just get, now we also support post and get, and you can see there are some parameters. Maybe if you want to add some query string parameters when calling a HTTP endpoint, you can do that. And if you wanted to post a message, you can also post it, it's also possible. And you can also add some HTTP headers as well. So if the web endpoints require some custom HTTP headers, you can add them as well. So these are all the request side options we are adding now. In the similar way, the response is also getting interesting. So you posted it, and when the response comes back, what are the things you wanted to check? So by default, the response time alert is by default. So if a service is taking too long to execute, you can get alerted. But we can also alert on status codes like 202 or 404, things like that. And the interesting bit is actually here, the keyword alert. So you can actually, if you're just getting back a piece of plain text, HTML, whatever, you can actually look for certain keywords, like whether PO number or order number or something like that. If it doesn't exist, then you can get alerted. And it also gets interesting with the payload as well. You can specify, okay, I'm expecting a XML payload. Then you can specify an exact XPath and say this is the response I'm getting from that web endpoint, and you'll get alerted. And same for JSON as well. You change it to JSON, and then you can see, you can give the JSON path, and then you can give an expected state, whatever it's required. So you can see this will enable you to monitor a lot of stuff. Like all your logic apps and API apps and whatever you do in Azure, it's eventually going to have a web endpoint. So we will improve on the authentication side a little bit. That's why on one side, on the settings, we have an ability to register your subscription. we will make the experience as seamless as possible so that like you will get easy to configure ability when it comes to monitoring things. So we are also adding queue monitoring. So MSMQ is what you have here. You can check the config. Like you can configure the threshold, local queues, and remote queues, etc. It's a pretty standard stuff. So now you can look for queue size, dead letter length, active message count, etc. So this is MSMQ. We also do it for this is not yet done, but we will have service-based queues as well as part of the 8.1 release. So now you can see the big picture, like you slowly from on-premise stuff, we are expanding the product so that we also understand, most of the customers are going to have integration scenarios like this, and we will pretty much cover all of them. Okay. Right. Okay. I think that's all I'm going to show with the BizTalk360. I need to show more stuff which is not BizTalk360 for the next 25 minutes or so. I'll go back to the slide. Okay. So we are introducing something called BizTalk360 Lite. So the problem what we are seeing is it's not a problem, it's maybe a nice thing to have. So BizTalk360 has gone super matured, I will say. Like there's lots and lots of functionalities. You have throttling, you have analytics, operations, monitoring, security, and all those kind of things. And we started seeing questions from people saying, okay, we don't need all those things. Like sometimes, they just need a very lightweight monitoring. They just wanted to, and also from a deployment perspective, BizTalk360 requires IaaS and SQL Server to install the product because that's where the config is there, and the IaaS is for hosting the web server side of things. So after receiving a lot of requests, what we decided to do is we built a complete SaaS-based product from scratch. It's not. We just took some concepts from BizTalk360, but it's actually the product we built from the ground up. So one thing we really wanted to learn how to build a SaaS product because the challenges are completely different. So we used it as a learning curve for the last 12, 14 months, something like that. We've been building this thing. And behind the scene, we are using some really cool Azure technologies. So the way it's work is you just download a small agent and put it in one of your BizTalk servers, and the agent starts collecting the metadata and post it to the cloud, and you manage everything on the cloud. So to be very clear, this is going to be very, very lightweight. It's only going to be the certain artifacts monitoring, host instance monitoring, etc. It will not have the full power of BizTalk360, but it will be useful for some audience where they really want to have like a simple lightweight stuff. So let me go to the demo. So this is where it is. It's one of our staging environments. So I'm just going to log in. So this is all in the cloud. It's nothing installed locally. So this is where I need demo God's help. Come on. Right. Okay, so you can see it's a very stripped down version. There is nothing much, and there's already a couple of environments configured, demo 1 and demo 2. And this green ones basically, the signals basically means actually they're getting data from the agents. So the agents are constantly pushing data, so that just gives you an indication. And I can go easily, I can say I'm adding a new environment. Let me say, SK local laptop, something, and generate key. So it automatically, it will generate a key for you, and it has got a download agent. So I already have an agent here, so which is downloaded. So all I need to do is go, click it, and then go back to the thing, copy this code. Do next. This is the service account used to collect the metadata. Okay. it's all done, so I can close it. Okay, it will take like a couple of minutes to get the data, and it will auto refresh. So I'll show what happens. So in the meantime, I can navigate to one of these environments, existing environments, and this is just post all the data. And you can see there are some alarms, and I can go to manage alarms, manage mappings, and I can get the application. So this is actually the applications that's been all the metadata posted to the cloud. And from here, you can go and configure the monitoring similar way how you do it in BizTalk360. So it's just a very lightweight, and it's easy to use. That's the goal of this project. So when I go back to the main dashboard. Okay. One of the important things we are also done is it's fully self-service, so you can manage licenses, and you can actually put your credit card. You really don't need to speak to anybody in sales. So we just really wanted to make it like a true SaaS-based solution. So but we also have a free version. We haven't decided anything on the pricing yet, how we are going to price it, but there will be a free version as well. So the idea is, okay, if you have like 10 important artifacts somebody wants to monitor, they can start with a free version, and then they can change the plan. We wanted to keep pricing simple as well, so it's just purely based on the number of artifacts you are going to monitor. We are not going to confuse you with any server or environment or any of those details. You simply say, okay, I wanted to monitor 100 things, and the 100 things will cost you X amount of dollars, and you just put your credit card and you start monitoring it. So this will be helpful for a lot of people. We also have a user access thing, so you can say whether they got there are 3 different types of users we have. So it could be like an account owner where they will have access to credit card and things like that. Or if you want to give access only to somebody like a technical guy where you don't want to share your credit card details, you can make them super user. So they will see pretty much everything what I have shown you. And you can also make a normal user, then you can see you need to configure the environment. So you can say this user can only access environment 1 or environment 2, something like that. So that makes it like a very, very lightweight, and that's the goal, and that's what we have done with it. So I'm not sure about this one. There's something wrong. Okay. Oh, it's there. Okay. Okay, let me check the applications. So these are all the applications from my local laptop. So from here it transmitted everything, and then you really don't, just the agent what I installed in 2 minutes is what you need to start monitoring this stuff. Okay, with this I will move on to the next one. Okay, we are also announcing the next one, Service Bus 360. Okay, the idea is pretty simple, right? So everybody understands what we have done for BizTalk with BizTalk360. So you build something, you deploy it into production, and from that point onwards, the whole equation changes, because somebody need to look after that, right? So somebody need to make sure it's healthy. Somebody need to operate it on a regular basis. Somebody need to get an analytics of it. So that's exactly what we are trying to do with Service Bus 360. So it's actually the full operations monitoring and analytics platform for Service Bus. So again, I don't have anything on the slide. Let's move on to the demo. Okay, let me open a new window. So this is, again, it's going to be a complete SaaS-based product. It's all in the cloud. So I think the reason I wanted to start from here is actually we use Azure AD for the authentication. So all you need to do is you need to allow, it's a proper OAuth thing. You need to allow the ServicebusTree360.spa, this application, access into your AD. A global admin should do it. It's a one-time activity. They need to do it so that we can query all your data within the subscription. So I'm just going to paste this. So the authentication side, I have already done it, so I'm not going to show that. Okay, so this is how it looks. So you have the similar kind of a theme, operations, monitoring, and analytics. And I will move on to the settings side, how it works first. So the settings, the way it works is it's like a hierarchy, right? At the top you have the Azure account, and we have Azure AD, and that's the level where you allow the Service Bus 360 application to access the resources. So once you do that, then you come to this Azure subscriptions. An account can have multiple subscriptions. Right now I have only one subscription in this demo account, but you can go and add multiple subscriptions, but all within the same AD, because we work at the AD level. So you can go add multiple subscriptions, whatever ones you wanted to manage. So the idea is, like your actual account and actual subscriptions might have a lot of crap, right? You put a lot of queues and a lot of subscriptions, everything. But with Service Bus 360, the plan is, okay, the things which you wanted to have like a real control, like where, you don't want randomly people, like accessing it and changing something, all those kind of things, you bring it into Service Bus 360. So you can add a subscription. Once the subscription is added, I can go to namespaces, and so within that particular subscription, you can add a namespace. So okay, I don't have it any. I'll maybe add one to just make it interesting. So I'm just logging into the standard Azure portal, and let's create some new namespace. Dan said something interesting about the icons last night. Okay, I'm going to say integrate live demo. Let's say messaging. I don't know why they keep it standard as the default. You want to make some money? Okay. Okay, it's active now. Let's open up and go and create a couple of queues. Q1. Oh, there's no space. Okay, we just added those things. Let me come back, and I think I need to refresh it. So you can go to namespaces, and so you can see it just reflected straight into the Service Bus 360 because it all works as since you authorize the subscription, it understands the things inside the subscription. I can simply add, okay, I want to manage that, and I need to specify the connection string of that. Let me go here. So this is because we need the connection string. This property is actually not available with the API. So this is the only way we can get it. Okay, you also can specify a name, maybe live environment, something like that. And save it. Okay, so now we added a subscription, we added a namespace, and also you can go a bit granular and also specify the namespaces you really wanted to, resources you wanted to monitor within that stuff. So this is the live environment is the one I added just now. So as soon as you click that one, it got a couple of queues, and you say I just wanted to add them to this Service Bus 360. So the idea is like you just bring the things which you want more controlled access into Service Bus 360. And from that point, you have a better operations monitoring for those resources. You also have a user management. So this again, it works on Azure AD stuff. So you can go add users. These users are all your standard AD users. So you can say, I wanted to give permission for these couple of guys to access the production environment. So then you have like a bit more controlled access to your environment. Okay. So this is the settings side, so you understand the hierarchy, how we group all these things together. And once it's done, you go back to the main app where the operations. So right now we only have queues, But the plan is to, like we'll expand it to topics and event hubs as well. So we are working closely with Dan and his team. So this is just a starting point. So now it's a SaaS-based thing, and we have the capacity to ramp up very quickly. So you can see all the bunch of queues here, and then you can see the property details, all this, whatever it is. I think there are some interesting things we saw in the forum, like people struggling to get this information, like queue URL and dead letter URL, right? So it's not available in the standard portal. People need to manipulate it, and that's the advantage what we have when you compare it with the product group, because we actively watch the community and see what are the pain points. That's exactly what we did with BizTalk360, like speaking to people at conferences like this and actively updating the product. So this is one thing. And also you can see the authorization rules and stuff like that. We don't have it here, but you can. The next thing is the analytics side. We try to get some important, interesting information here. So again, it's for certain queues. You may want to keep track of all this different metrics. So again, we will keep improving this one. So whatever data it's available for us to pull it, we will pull it and then display it. Monitoring is where it gets really interesting. So because monitoring becomes very, very important, right? Like you don't want your queue to pile up because there may be somebody is not not retrieving data from your queue. You just want to make sure it's healthy, and you may want to keep an eye on your dead letter queue size and all those kind of things. So monitoring is again another important aspect. So you go and you can create an alarm. So let's say live demo some alarm, something like that, and I can give my email addresses. And then I need to say, we have two different types of alarm. One is threshold alarm and one is a regular alarm, because maybe you may want to periodically get info as well, whether your queues are healthy or unhealthy, etc. So for threshold one, I can configure every 1 minute I wanted to monitor it, and you can limit the number of violations and also notify when things become normal. So all the standard configuration, what you would expect for threshold. And then we also have this health monitoring. So I can say Monday to Friday, every hour, just send me an information about the things I'm configuring, right? Okay, I can see Dan smiling. Okay, so once the alarm is configured, I can go to the queue and I say, let's say I wanted to monitor this particular queue, and this is the alarm is automatically picked up, and I can say I wanted to monitor this. Let's say I'm going to monitor this size. And I can say if it goes above 5,000, it's a warning, maybe 10,000 bytes or whatever, it's a error. And you can see there are a lot of other properties as well: active message count, dead letter, scheduled messages, the bunch of things. Whatever we can pull, it's there. So once it's all done, the system will keep monitoring it, and then you will get like a dashboard showing what is the health, and you also get nice email reports like this. Okay. All right. I think that's a very quick intro, and the idea is, like we are planning to release beta of this by end of this month, because the version what we have now is stable enough for people to try it on their own subscriptions. So we plan to do a beta release by end of this month, both for BizTalk360 Lite as well as for Service Bus 360. So if you are interested to give it a try, like they just got a early adopter stuff, like you can just go fill up. There's a simple form there. You can fill it out, and we will get in touch with you. Okay, I think that's all I have to announce today. No more products. Okay, thank you very much. Do you have any questions, anyone? All right, thank you, everyone. Oh. Sorry? Oh, as part of Service Bus 360, we will have event hubs. Yeah. All right. The pricing model, we haven't worked out anything. It's the Service Bus 360 and both BizTalk 360 Lite, it's very early stages. Maybe, yeah. Okay, I think probably I need to repeat the questions. So the question is, do you have other queue monitoring like service broker or even MQ or something like that? So those are all things that will come because we never had a queue monitoring in BizTalk 360 before. So we understand a lot of people use queues and they wanted to monitor it. So we are bringing MSMQ and service bus queue as phase 1, and eventually we will have MQ will be the top of our list because we know a lot of people use MQ, and it will basically like any product company, it will be based on demand, like how many people really need a service broker. Then we will probably look into it. Yeah.
And are you also trying to bring that the Service Bus Explorer functionality to read those messages?
Yeah, that's right. I didn't actually show you can read messages now. The idea is, I think Service Bus Explorer is a great tool, but we know, Paulo got a day job to work, so we decided we will take a lot of the features what you see in Service Bus Explorer, you will eventually see it in Service Bus 360. Okay. Yeah, sure. I think it's we already have event log monitoring, but we restrict it only to BizTalk servers and SQL servers now within the BizTalk environment. It's not technically it's not a big issue for us to support another external servers as well, but we wanted to restrict it because we need to cut a balance between usability versus how complex you wanted to make it on the deployment, right? So if we want to go down that model, then we need to look at agents, because right now it's more of a centralized monitoring solution. So you install it and the update, everything is so fast, so easy. But if I go down the agent route, then we need to make sure all the agents are running and all the agents are how you're going to update all those agents, etc. But we are planning to add like a limited number of servers. So maybe you can add 2 or 3 additional servers you wanted to monitor for event log. Not just opening up widely, but restricting it to a couple of them. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Thank you, everyone.